wrong kite. I'm already into the 420, damn it.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this lifestyle radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You like music, you like weed, well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is how much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the chiva grows. Smoke a bowl on the 420 radio show. On Lifestyle Radio.
Marcel, you don't sing anymore.
I was reading.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's our guest's fault.
It's Tracy's fault, yes. So,
blame the redhead.
Blame the redhead.
Blame the ginger.
I always blame my redhead. I don't know where she's behind me on the couch now.
It's fact of life.
Yeah. My mom told my sister to keep in the back of her head that if I ever had a child with red hair, not to be alarmed if my wife or girlfriend didn't have red hair.
Yeah.
I'm adopted, right? So I mean, that's one of the things my mom knew, I guess. So.
Yep.
So, anyways, this is the 420 Radio Show, and I'm here with our regulars, Marcel and Mary Jane, and Tracy Curley came over to hang out, and also Al, the other Al.
I'm here, man. I'm here.
Well, we're making him go on mute because he's prostituting himself around town.
Yeah, he's
walking around town.
Our roving reporter in Campbellford, Ontario. Just look for Al. I guarantee you,
7 o'clock at night.
I guarantee you, he's wearing a 420 Radio Show hoodie.
Well, I got the jacket on, man, and winter coat.
Already, have you got snow there yet?
Porter.
No snow here yet.
Yeah, we've had snow here already.
Oh,
yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, we've had snow here. I drove home through Star Trek moments there when I was coming back from Hamilton last.
Yeah. Oh wow,
no, we've had some frost.
We broke records today. We
Mary
had
Jane, stop moving your phone.
Over 24 degrees.
Oh,
it was 21 here and felt like 25.
Wow.
Somebody's phone is making noises and it's driving my ears cuckoo.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it is.
Mary Jane would have the same weather as me.
Yeah. She would have
I bet you it's the guy who's moving.
It's probably
who's moving?
Al. You know what? It doesn't do this when we're out on doing roadshow stuff. I don't know why it does it.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah, well, he broke it.
Al broke it.
I can say it's definitely not me this time.
Yeah,
because I went and got your mic after that incident we had a couple weeks ago. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And you sound much better.
Wonderful. That's great.
She sounds like Mary Jane
and stuff.
Mary Jane, the lifestyle radio operator.
Yeah. Let me place you in queue on our call list.
Yeah. Click.
Thanks for calling. Click.
Yeah.
So I thought we would, since Tracy was here, I thought that we could bend her ear about diabetes, or as Wilford Brimley says, diabetes.
Diabetes. Diabetes.
Yeah, diabetes.
Diabetes.
I got type 2. Tracy has type 1, correct?
Yep.
My niece has type 1 juvenile.
Yep.
And she's... Anyways,
I remember when she was diagnosed.
Yeah, we won't go there.
Yeah.
But it's a serious thing nowadays. I was diagnosed about 5 years ago, and I'm doing my damnedest to not have to go off the metformin and into the injectables, because needles scare the fuck out of me, even though I've gotten used to them. But luckily...
but they're a pain in the ass. You don't want them.
No, and I see what Emily has to go through every day, and I don't want to do that. But if it happens, there are, obviously things that you have to change, but I don't want to. So I introduced a hell of a lot of cannabis into my life, and my doctor will tell you flat out, I'm controlling it with cannabis, because when I don't have it, that's when I have my issues.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that stuff. You have you went through a similar kind of thing that we've gone through the last year with Emily. When you were younger, you were diagnosed, right, Tracy?
Yeah, I was diagnosed at the age of 6.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you went through.
It was shortly after my brother was born. So my doctors actually didn't want to test me. They thought that I was just acting out because there was a new baby in the house. Because here I was 6 years old, and I started acting like a brat because I wasn't feeling well. At 6 years old, had obviously been potty trained for years, but started wetting the bed again. I look at photos of myself the Christmas before I was diagnosed, and I look like a child from a third world country. My eyes were sunken in. My stomach was distended. I obviously wasn't a healthy child. So my mother forced my doctors to test me because there was a family history of diabetes in the family. And lo and behold, at 6 years old, she got the phone call to take me in. And luckily, even though there were, we had insulin, and there were a lot of things that we have today that we didn't have back then. But luckily, when my mother, I think now she was 24 years old and told that her child had this scary condition. And the doctor looked, and she started to cry, and the doctor looked at her and said, "Look, lady, I had to tell a bunch of parents today that their kids had cancer. They had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and they're never going to be cured. Your kid's going to live a normal life. Suck it up and help her get through it." And that's exactly what my mother did.
And you,
good doctor.
You didn't have places like Ronald McDonald House to go to back then, though, right? So that was a lot for your family. I know what Kelly and Tim have gone through firsthand because I've been there with them through it. And for the last 2 years, it's been hell. Rushing to the hospital, diabetic comas, 6 months in McMaster's. And if they didn't have a place like Ronald McDonald House to go to, it's very expensive.
We were really lucky because we had families. So the guys that live on the East Coast, this will give you an idea. I was diagnosed when I lived in Summerside, PEI, but I had to go to the IWK in Halifax.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a trip.
For an endocrinologist. So, I had to travel 4 hours. My family had to travel 4 hours just for me to see a diabetic specialist.
Yeah.
At that age. So, it was a lot for my family. And again, just the expenses. These days, glucometers are very common.
Mine have always been free.
Well, back in the day, my mother, worked for the military, so she had a very good drug plan. And it covered 80% of my drugs. But, my first glucometer was $300 in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
That was a lot of money back then.
Now you can get
all your traveling back and forth, 4 hours. That's not something that you do just...
That's not a 4-hour drive. She's also got to take a boat.
Yeah. That costs a lot of money each way.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it could turn into an overnight trip.
It's
always, that's a given.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was actually, when we actually moved to Nova Scotia, finally, it was a relief because, we moved to Greenwood, so it was only about 2.5 hours away. Yeah. That was the short drive.
But at least it was just a drive, not have to sit in that boat for an hour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the winter.
I used to hate that.
Or during tourist season when there'd be it'd be a 4-hour wait just for a boat.
Yeah. And then I got out of the military and moved out of PEI, and they built a bridge. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that make it easier now.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I mean, your niece is going through a really tough time, because I remember, like, okay, I was diagnosed when I was young, but from the ages of 6 till about the first 3 years weren't so bad. We did some learning, we did whatever. But the fact is when I hit puberty,
yes,
everything went crazy.
And that's what the doctor meant when he told us about the honeymoon period. She was 10 years old. And now that's happening. I mean, last year she went to visit her sister, and too much excitement and ended up in she hadn't seen her in 6.5 years, right? So there was too much excitement, and she wasn't looking after herself. She's 13, and she went into a diabetic coma, and literally for a week was in and out of that.
Yeah,
we were sleeping at McMaster's in the family room, and staying at Ronald McDonald House. And I guess the reason I'm bringing it up so much is because I know cannabis would help her, but it's too scary to even attempt it.
Well, especially, and I'm going to say this because of the age she's at.
Yeah.
Because cannabis use, I did have to adjust. There are when we talk about when we were off air earlier, we talked about strains.
Yeah.
And making sure that you have the right strain. Well, some strains sometimes mimic the symptoms for me of low blood sugars.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
So I have to be careful. And check my blood sugars when I feel off. I can't just go, I'm stoned. I have to check.
Yeah.
I need to be careful of the munchies. I need to adjust for those things. And if there's a strain that I've got that gives me the munchies, then I'm saving that for a sick day. That is not an everyday thing. Because people, when people talk to me about my cannabis, I mean, and how it relates to diabetes. The first one I give people is, in my situation, is to keep myself healthy. I have to do a very careful balance of what my physical activity is, how much insulin I've injected into myself, and how many calories are in my body. So everything is constant math in my head, and that's one of the reasons I'm a control freak. That I am. Everybody's like, "Why is Tracy so uptight?"
You have to be.
I was raised to be a control freak. I was raised in the military. I was raised as a diabetic. I am so conscious of time and when the next meal is and schedule. I am very, very aware of that. And it's annoying to some people, but it's kept me alive. So I'm sticking with it.
Exactly.
But
you learned very, very young, and this is something that Emily is working on right now, how to deal with everything on your own. Right now, mom has to give her injections, or dad has to do it, or they have to be right there.
They got to stop that.
And they're working on it, but it's because of everything else that's going on. There was a big, that honeymoon period ended.
Yep.
And then hospital.
Yep.
Into a new city. Yada yada yada.
Yep.
And she's getting a grip.
Yep.
But everybody's different. And
yeah, it's true. But I'll tell you how my mother did it.
How did she do it?
Because I started giving myself my own injections by the time I was 7.
Yep. And she does.
I wanted a Smurf doll. Because that was back in the 80s. That tells you how old I am. Mm-hmm. But the Smurfs were big, and I wanted a Smurf doll. And my mother looked at me and said, "You start giving yourself your own injections, I will get them." My poor mother. Yeah. The next day is woken up I don't even think the sun was up, to me shaking her, going, "Mommy, look." And she opens her eyes to watch me jam a needle into my leg. And hadn't watched hadn't watched me do any of it, right? Just wakes up to me, and she's like up in a complete panic and going, okay, and asking me all the questions, and I took her through the steps and I'd done it all. And I got a Smurf doll by the end of that day.
They taught Emily how to give herself her own injections within 24 hours of her being in the hospital for the first time when she was diagnosed.
And then she rebelled.
Nurses can be idiots sometimes and say things they shouldn't.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh, have I ever got a story for you on that then?
Yeah. I won't go into details. I won't go into details because it's really, it doesn't matter at this point. But a nurse said something which got a certain somebody thinking, and it shouldn't have been said the way it was, and it caused some issues, and she ended up in the hospital because of it. So,
Okay, so we're going to talk about So here's the thing: is one of the reasons I get angry a lot within our community is the amount of misinformation that we get from people that call themselves patient advocates.
Thank you.
And specifically around my condition. I see a lot of times when, I'll post something about diabetes, or I'll see somebody else post something about diabetes, and somebody like, oh, you should take Rick Simpson oil. Mm-hmm. It will cure you. Uh-huh. No, it will kill you if you go off your insulin and try to replace it. Because frankly, what most people don't understand is the types of diabetes that I have and the types of diabetes that you have is very different. Yes. Mine is an autoimmune disorder. Yours is a condition that can either be brought on by environmental factors, hereditary, a bunch of different things.
Lifestyle.
Lifestyle. Yeah. Mine is an autoimmune disorder. I like to joke around that the only thing that's, tough enough to take me down is me.
Yeah.
Because, that's it. Is my body is killing the insulin cells in my body. It's killing itself.
Yeah.
So I need to take insulin to keep that from happening. And
so your body's attacking yourself.
We replace that.
That's what an autoimmune disorder does.
Yeah. Yep. So my body attacks insulin cells. So my body could produce them, but then they're produced, it kills them.
Yeah.
My body attacks the myelin sheath on your nerves.
Yeah.
Mine attacks the bowel.
I just attack people.
So basically, it's I wish they could figure it out. There are people that have been cured of my condition with very expensive surgical procedures, and they've told me my whole entire life that there's a cure right around the corner. But I also know that there are millions of us in the world, and it costs me more than $800 a month to breathe.
And you know what? There may be millions out there.
Why would they cure a disease that makes them trillions of dollars a year?
And where there's 1 million of us, and I say us because diabetes is diabetes, although yes, there's two different things. Okay.
Well, no, there's millions of us, like so many of us.
But for every 10 people that have it, that know they have it, there's probably 1,000 people that don't and never will, because it's very hard to. I mean, now they check it. They check. You get to a certain age, you get your finger shoved up your ass when you're a guy, and you go for a diabetes check every 3 months.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
As soon as you hit 50.
I don't get a diabetes check.
Shut up, Marcel.
If you get blood work done, they've checked you for diabetes. If they
because you're going to do glucose anyway.
And that's what I mean.
Glucose, and that's what they're looking for.
You get to a certain age, and when you go for your regular checkup, you're going to be checked for all that stuff.
Right? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Just like when you get to a certain age and you're a woman, you get to go and get your boobs squished. Fun times.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. Like, age.
Which is also not proven to work.
What? The mammograms?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there's enough evidence to prove that they don't work versus them actually working. Because we've had too many cases of false readings.
False negatives? Or?
False positives, and people going in and having mastectomies done and that they've never beat it.
I wouldn't go based on a pure mammogram result anyway. It always, it's kind of one of those things. I always ask for an ultrasound as well.
Oh yeah, that's
and
what
you
hope.
want
And you would hope your doctor
biopsy before anybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
but it's
around
only
breast
because
cancer, there's so much.
It's only
fear.
because we know. New patients don't know this crap, and that's the problem. And they're the ones.
But I'm going to go back.
Guys,
I'm going to go back to.
Sorry. Do you think it's actual testing, like the mammogram, that's failing, or do you think it's the radiologist that's getting misinformation and not reading it properly?
They claim it's a case of both. I'm not a radiologist, so I won't comment on their profession, but it's been way too many instances of it is the problem.
Well, I know when I went, I'll tell a personal story. I went for a boob squish. They went, ooh, look, we found a lump. Went for a mammogram, and they found a lump, and then they sent me for an ultrasound, and came back and went, no, we're okay.
Yeah.
So, again, I think, here's the thing is that what I've realized in all of my experience as a patient and as an advocate is, remember, if you're talking to a surgeon, surgeons like to cut.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what they get paid for.
That's what they do.
Yep.
So talk to other professionals as well, like not just the surgeon. Find out what your options are, because the surgeon's going to tell you they want to cut. And maybe, depending on what stage you're at, that you may not be there yet.
Yeah. Been there, done that. Got the scar to prove it.
I've learned a lot recently. So, again, we're going to go back to the diabetes thing. So, when I was, so we talk about the things that I have an annoyance with patient advocates when we're talking about my condition, is because people, they may know somebody who's a diabetic, and they may not know the difference between the two types. They make assumptions. And one of my least favorite is like, should you be eating that?
That's none of your business.
I'm like, well, I've made it this far. I know how to carb count. I don't look at other people and talk about, what they're eating. I've actually had somebody
you're eating fish.
Take a chocolate bar out of my hand.
Oh, speaking of chocolate bars, I'll be right back.
Yeah, but I actually had somebody take a chocolate bar because my blood sugars were low, and I was trying to shove as many calories into my system as I could because I was out in public. And, somebody actually took the chocolate bar out of my hand and said, "You're not supposed to eat that." And luckily I had a friend with me who basically, threatened to punch her out if she didn't give it back to me immediately. And it was taken care of. But there are so many assumptions about the disease that's difficult. And when we talk about why I use cannabis, especially with my medical professionals, one of the things I first start with is, doesn't matter how bad I feel, I have to eat every day.
4 times a day, right?
So the first thing that marijuana helps me with is keeping my appetite. Even on days and times that I don't feel like eating. That is one of the first things that cannabis does for me, because I can't skip meals. It's part of keeping myself in control. Yeah. So that's the very first one.
Do you find traveling is a problem when it comes to your meals?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. My mother and I, my mother's thing is always so when I'm traveling, I usually run my blood sugars a little higher than I normally would. Because I don't know, and I always bring food with me. There's always granola bars and things in my luggage. It pisses me off that there's now the liquid limit when you fly, because because I can no longer bring juice boxes with me, so I have to hope that, you know, the stewardesses are quick when I need something. But you know, the situation, like, yeah, so when I'm traveling, and I've gotten into arguments with people, because especially when I'm traveling with groups, because, you know, you guys know, you're hanging out with a bunch of people and you're all trying to figure out when you're going to go eat and where you're going to go, and then
and where you're going to go,
and it takes forever, and everything else, and I
can't wait.
That's why I don't hang around with people.
Yeah, exactly. That's what bothers me. I mean, that's what bothers me the most is when I say I need to eat something, I need to get, and everybody's going, well, we're not hungry yet. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll see you later. The fat guy's going into the restaurant now. You know,
and then I feel bad because if my blood sugars get to a certain point, you know, at most people, you know, regular people, if they've gone without meals, get hangry.
You know, you get.
I'm a little off the hook.
A little witchy.
Oh yeah, with a capital B.
Yeah, I get right fucking asshole-ish if I don't eat when I'm supposed to.
And I don't know how to explain to people that it's almost like a fight or flight instinct. Like, I'm like, at this point, I don't care who you are. I am going to throw you out of the way to get to a juice box.
Exactly.
I can see
so you are
crossing
now,
bodies.
Now, picture this: 13 years old.
Absolutely. Like I could relate to that. Like, so I was at an 8th grade pool party. All my friends. It's an 8th grade, and it was the end of the year, and the mother said, okay, you know, food will be in 20 minutes. And we were hanging out in the pool, and me being a dumbass believed that dinner was going to be in 20 minutes. Yeah. And had taken my insulin.
Yep.
And food was late. Yep. And we were still in the pool.
Yep.
I woke up in an ambulance. Mm-hmm. My mother was there because apparently I had stopped talking to people while I was in the pool, swam to the side, got up to the side of the deck, passed out, and went into seizure.
And that's exactly what Emily did.
Yep. And so they called my mother immediately. My mother met the ambulance at the house. She got there quicker. And afterwards, this had happened in front of my 8th grade class. Oh. It's mortifying. I'm a 13-year-old girl. So I can completely relate to what Emily's going through.
You've just traumatized all your friends, too.
Well, not only I've traumatized my friends, but I am also now, like, the gossip of mean 13-year-old kids.
Yeah. Well, that too, yeah.
That too. So some of them were kinder than others, but, there were a few that certainly wanted to tell me all of the things that I had said and done.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently my mother found out. And yeah, exactly, right? And I found out that my mother had found out that I knew a lot of words that she didn't know I knew. And that I had tried to punch her, that I had tried to do all of these things, and my friends all saw this happen. Mm-hmm. And I have no memory of it. I woke up in a hospital in a swimming suit with no clothes. Because you know how comfortable 13-year-old kids in bathing suits, right?
Yeah.
And that was hard. And so when you're a teenager with this condition, when you're a kid, all you want to be is like your friends.
Kid. Yep.
And so that difference, and especially when there's so many, like, I've had people like, can I watch you give yourself your needle?
Yeah.
What is your response to that?
I can go ahead. I'm going to do it right here.
I was telling Emily that I had a friend who literally would use his needles as darts, and that because her dad likes darts, she's like, ooh.
And I don't back in the day, I had to use these little vials and syringes. Now I have pens. I give myself my insulin on the bus. I give myself my insulin in restaurants. Wherever I am. I don't hide it. If you know who I am, whatever you have a question, I just gave myself my insulin.
Have you considered the pump?
My brother is currently, my younger brother was actually diagnosed years after me. Okay. He was diagnosed when he was 20, and he's on the pump now. So I have considered the pump. I've tried, but then I have the issue. So the first time they tried to talk to me about the pump, I hadn't even met my endocrinologist yet, and they said the most horrible sentence to me that as a patient advocate, I just put my wall up. And I went, oh, you guys. And I said, we're going to set you up for pump class. And I said, well, what's pump class? Yeah. It's all in a room and they show you how their pumps work. And I went, the pharma reps, huh? I hadn't met my doctor yet. So I was like, no, thanks. I ain't doing that. And I refused at that point. About a year ago, I set up an appointment to go talk to the diabetic clinic about getting set up with a pump. My brother's been on it for a couple of years now. And I thought, okay, I'll look into it because he likes it. But it is not without its challenges. Currently, the pump that he has, the company is now going to stop making them.
Oh, boy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. He has to, when he's traveling, he has to get a loaner just in case his malfunctions when he's traveling.
Ah,
jeez. And it has happened once. So there are some considerations that I'm just, I've always joked around. I'm like, I'm not ready to be a cyborg yet.
Yeah.
And I'm really waiting for it to do. They haven't created, they said I went to pump class, or I went to go talk to them about the pump, and they put a bunch of these very expensive little gadgets on the table and said, pick one. And I went, okay, well, what do they all do? Some of them are waterproof. Some of them aren't. They had so many different, and when I asked them, I said, okay, so which one is the best one? And they're like, well, we can't tell you that. And I'm like, well, what kind of bullshit is this? I don't get to choose my insulin. They've given me glucose. But the machine that is supposed to keep me alive, I'm just supposed to pick.
Yeah.
So I'm still doing things that are under my control right now.
Well, that's good. That's good. So,
but yeah.
Listen, you're breaking up a little bit too much, more than I like. So we're going to take a quick little break, and I'm going to call you on the phone, and we'll do the rest from there. It's the 420 Radio Show. We are live at lifestyleradio.net, 420radio.ca. I don't know what else to say, so I'm just going to push this button. We'll be back. Oh, I don't even have a song loaded.
Oh, my God, Al.
Cannabis related.
Somebody sing, quick. Somebody sing.
Sing?
Mary Jane, sing.
Chief Greenbud.
Got nothing.
Chief Greenbud, it's 420 somewhere. We'll be back in 3 minutes and 10 seconds or so.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what Al says now on his show. He tells people times, how long we're going to be.
Oh, isn't that nice of him?
See you in 5.
Yeah, see you in 5. See you in 3:15. We'll be right back.
Watch the clock to smoke your pot. You should know you're not alone. If your grass is like molasses hydro-grown, that gets you stoned. If you're counting the hours and watching the minutes for that special time when everyone hits it, take it from me, you're really not that far away. Then roll me something fat and long, pack me a bowl, or fill me a bong. It only comes twice a day, but I don't care. It's 420 somewhere. This smoke break is gonna make my afternoon. When I get high, even if it's my last bud, I'll smoke it up. It'll be alright. I've been sitting here waiting for what seems like a year. My Jamaican connection said he'd meet me here. If the phone's for me, tell him he better be on his way. And roll me something fat and long, pack me a bowl, fill me a bong. It only comes twice a day, but I don't care. It's 420 somewhere. I spent all my cash, replenished my stash, but it's only 1:45. At a moment like this, I can't help but wonder, what would Willie do? He'd say to fire that thing up. Roll me something fat and long, pack me a bowl, fill me a bong. It only comes twice a day, but I don't care. Roll me something fat and long, pack me a bowl, fill me a bong. It only comes twice a day, but I don't care. I don't care. It's 420 somewhere.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Shatter in this.
You don't.
Well, I just assumed by the name Shatterizer.
Shatter. I mean, it works for shatter, but shatter's normally done with solvents, and I'm kind of anal like Tracy.
What about with alcohol? Not ISO, but high alcohol.
No,
because then you've got a water content, so then you've got to really vacuum the crap out of it, get rid of that water.
Yeah. She said not to use oil or anything because there's solvents still in there. It could cause issues or even fire. Fire!
Mm-hmm.
Fire!
So,
fire!
But I've got my.
But you don't get fire from.
I saved my last little bit of. I have a little tiny bit of Bubba Kush shatter from that I got from Kelly. How do you say it, Al?
Kelly.
Casita?
Oh, crap. Yeah, Casita.
Yeah, Casita.
Yes.
Who sent me some shatter and some tea and some of her tincture, which I'm liking. So thank you for that, Kelly. Nice. I also wanted to send a shout out to the guys at Kootenai Craft Cannabis out in BC. They sent me some stuff to review, which I'm smoking.
And
well, how is it?
Well, we're still okay on the show, so it's good. We're good.
Yeah, you didn't have a song loaded.
I didn't have I didn't have a song.
Yeah, so it's pretty good then.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I've got some. I just had some watermelon, which I'll tell you this. Like the bottles are kind of cool. It came in. I got 4 bottles, all packed with the gel packs are in there for freshness. Now, do the LPs do that?
Well, no, but
gel
see,
packs?
I don't like the silica gel packs.
Okay.
Yeah, because they dry it out.
I'm not a fan.
Okay.
I'm not, and look, like they put those in with shoes, man. Like they shouldn't be putting it in with your smoke or your food.
Okay, so anyways, they put one in everyone and then they seal it. And this is each one of these are indoor, and this is the first time that I've got anything in a bottle. Usually, what I've gotten is in a bag.
In a bag,
shrink wrapped.
Back seal.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean it's nice buzz. I got watermelon, golden goat, some super lemon haze, and some Gorilla Glue 4. Which speaking of Gorilla Glue,
wait, hold it. They're sending you flowers and they're putting silicate packs in with the flower?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Are they sending you wet bud?
No, it's actually they're nice. They're relatively nice. They're fluffy.
Like,
and
are you talking like Silco packs? Or are you talking like the Boveda pack?
I'm looking
or
at. I'm just pulling it out right now.
Or the humidity packs.
It's a humidity pack. Hold on, let's see. It's called Intra Boost 62. I can't even read the damn thing here. Hold on. I got to turn my cell phone on for some light. All right.
Sure, it's not a factor the medication.
It's a two-way humidity regulator, and it's a ENTEGRA Intra Boost is what it is.
Okay, I've got what's this one called? This is called an Integra.
Integra. Okay, so that's what it is. It's Integra Boost.
Yeah. Okay. So
humidity
it's not a gel pack.
Okay.
It's not the silicate, Tracy. It's actually set humidity.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're good then.
Bud. So actually, that's actually not a bad idea that they're sending those. I've got one still in the package, never been used.
Okay. Well, then there's one in each
bottle.
But
what are they made of?
Let me just open up the package and read what it looks like. Read what comes with it.
It looks like a sugar package, but
that's what it looks like.
It's liquid inside.
Yeah, but I'm kind of curious about what it's made out of. Like, if they leach, what happens?
Well, that's what I'm going to find out. Give me a second. I'm trying to get into this little wrap.
I'm letting you. But now, you got me.
Oh, now I'm probably going to need a.
There is some stuff
I'm
here.
not
this
opening
writing
up
on
the actual
package.
boots.
There's stuff on the writing on the package here, but it says dot no blah 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 do not blah blah blah. I can't. It's too small. I can't read it. Sorry.
You can't even read the do not.
No, I can't even read it. No. Do not open packet.
Does it have the little indicator?
No.
A little pink dot?
Well, maybe it's blue, and I don't know. No, I don't see any pink dots or anything. So
blue dot, so it might be just a different brand.
I will take a picture here and put it on my page. Then you can all look at it and go ooh and ah.
I'm just going to go right to the website.
If anybody that's listening knows about these packs that we're talking about, they should call in.
Yeah, they really should. 323-795-2420.
I'm actually looking at the website.
Okay, so I'm tweeting just a picture of it so that you can see it. It's not a very good picture. Please don't judge my photography talents with this picture.
But for anybody listening, I'm just kind of I'm an old school stoner, so I'm always kind of I know they put weird things in cereal to keep it from going stale. I want to make sure they're not using those same chemicals to keep our weed fresh.
All right. Well,
some of them aren't good for you.
They're using a humidecant, which is a patent-pending technology that releases or absorbs moisture, maintaining relative humidity at 55% in a contained environment.
Cool.
So we're not telling you how it's made because it's patent-pending, but it does.
We're not going to tell you what we use, but it's a humidecant. Maintain optimum humidity level to prevent dry and crispy plants, harsh and unpleasant smoke, and mold from forming. Preserve aroma.
It's packed up nicely. They have a seal on it.
It's a salt-free solution, and they won't alter your plant's flavor or aroma.
Cool.
But yeah, there's no hint of what they're actually using in it.
Are there? Because I'm like the warnings. Like I'm like, if you
They're not cheap
open
because on their website for the 4 gram they're $5 a piece.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh no, they're on sale for 4. What if you get quantity discount 100?
Al's hiding in his car.
Why get them for $3 a piece if you buy 100?
Where are you, Al? Al just sent me a picture, and now he's not talking.
I'm downtown.
Oh. He's walking along.
Downtown California, not downtown Toronto.
So how's the prostitution business there for you?
Well, it's a little slow.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you still the only prostitute in town, or is there any more yet?
Al is Boys Town in Campbellford.
I'm just trying to help you drum up some more business.
There's actually vehicle movement. There's no bodies. The sidewalks have been rolled.
You walk around town, and you're very well known in town. You walk around town with doobies, don't you?
Oh yeah, all the time.
And nobody has anybody ever said anything? Because nobody has ever. I've been walking around Toronto since I was 19 years old. Nobody has ever said anything except for once, and that was when I was trying to smoke a doobie at the Ryerson skating rink, and the coppers didn't like that.
Oh,
yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. But I'll tell you though, I'll tell you, in Toronto, I really see the fact that I am a white privileged female, because I know that that my friends of color and other ethnicities here in the city cannot do that as freely as I can. Even young men, the younger boys.
I have been walking around Toronto all my life, smelling it and smoking it, and I ain't gonna stop now. Just saying.
No. Yeah, I've never had anybody come up and say anything to me. I walk right through our main intersection stuff. We have a center bridge here. Exactly. Over that doesn't matter. The only thing I've ever had say to me was, "Geez, that smells good."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I had the airport security guy when he's going through my luggage. So wow, that smells good. Like, good stuff. I'm like,
I was standing.
Can you let me close my luggage now? Because everybody can smell that.
I was standing in line at dollar store, and there was a couple older ladies standing in front of me. And all of a sudden, one of the ladies says, "I smell skunk." And the other one says, "I smell skunk." And I'm standing there sniffing around, and I can smell skunk too. And I'm thinking, holy crap, where's that coming from? And then I realized that I just left somebody's place. They gave me some partially dried stuff in a brown paper bag, and I shoved it into the leg pocket of my pants. And I'm standing there saying, "Yeah, I think somebody must have stepped in skunk."
I had the ladies of the building. I come out of my apartment, and I hear down the end of the hall, "Al," in a very, very British accent. "I smell skunk. Do you smell skunk?" I said, "Yeah, there's a family living out back there. I was just out there with the dogs, and I saw them." She went, "Oh, because I can smell it in the whole building."
Sucks when that happens, huh?
Back in the history of Tracy, I used to be with the burlesque troupe, and every show that we do during intermission, I would go medicate. Yeah. And then we'd be back in the dressing room, and inherently, every show we did, someone would say, "Can anybody else smell skunk?" And I would have to go, "Guys, it's me. Guys, it's me." So when it eventually came time for us to do our space show, I definitely got to be the green girl from Star Trek. There was no question.
My mom absolutely loves. I'm not allowed to smoke cigarettes, and I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, anyways. But she's never allowed me to smoke cigarettes in the car. But if I want to light up a doobie, go right ahead. She loves the smell. Now I can't. Now I'm going into a segue here. Now I can't even do that, even though I'm medical.
Not yet. Not yet. As soon as they rule it recreational, then you won't be able to.
I still can't do it now. I mean, that's I've got. I know a few people who have been pulled over already, and they've gone through the ringer, and then you're flagged and yada. I don't want that.
Yep.
So now,
and look, and here's the thing: is that everybody's like, "Oh, well, we're medical," but here's the fact of the matter: is I'm talking about my diabetes while I'm here, but they will take your license if your diabetes isn't under control, and sometimes even when it is in control, they'll take your driver's license.
Exactly. They asked me when I went to renew mine. They said, "Do you have any new medical things?" I have diabetes type 2. She said, "Do you take pills or insulin?" I said pills. She said, "Okay." If I had said insulin, there would have been
a whole new ballgame.
Exactly.
Yep. And it's one of the reasons, like, I don't drive because of the hassle and purely fear. There's always that panic that, I'm going to be stuck in traffic or on the highway or something like that. And it's my own personal thing. And I hope there are lots of diabetics who drive all the time, but my own personal fear is always I don't know if I'd forgive myself if I hurt someone else.
I drive and I am terrified of the day that I'm not going to be able to, if that happens.
And as a type 1 diabetic, like, even my doctors have told me, like, if I'm driving and I feel the symptoms coming on, I have to pull over. That's right. Yep. I have to take the keys out of the ignition and I have to get into the passenger side.
So that you're not in control of the vehicle at all.
So that I'm not in control of the vehicle at all, or I will be charged with impaired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I use my driver's license.
I always take the keys out of the ignition and put them up on the shifter, and that's where they sit. They don't touch. The windows are open. I don't do it when I've got the kids in the car. And I will pull over to a truck stop and do it, but then I'll wait and air out the car, but it's gotten to the point where, I mean, at night, for sure, you don't do it anymore.
Hey, you know what? You know what, guys? You guys are really putting out really good arguments of why I still use tobacco and oil and not pot.
Yeah.
There you go.
I could smoke this shit anywheres and nobody knows.
Well, I know that Al has a story. Why don't you tell your story, Al? Your story.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the old days when I used to smoke in nightclubs when smoking was still allowed.
Yeah.
And I will use my rolling machine and the foam filters and the Urban Wrap rolling paper, so it looks like a cigarette anyway.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah.
But Al's story
I just
is that
fill
he
mine
got
with tobacco
he got
and oil
pulled
and
over,
hash and stuff like that, and I can smoke them everywhere because I think I'll just keep smoking tobacco.
And they're like, "Is that I smell marijuana." I don't know what you smell, officer.
Yeah.
Because smell isn't enough of a. Last I heard, smell wasn't enough of a thing for a search and seizure.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to produce that as evidence.
Well, tell what happened to you, Al, when you got pulled over.
Oh, I've been pulled over for like in the ride programs, and for one example, I came out of Peterborough, and this was in the middle of nowhere, in a valley. There's a ride program, and I stopped, and they asked me if I've been drinking, and I said no, and then they said, have you smoked any marijuana? Because I was wearing, a hat with marijuana stuff. I had a T-shirt with marijuana on it. And I told them I had a license.
Yep.
And then they asked me, well, when was the last time you consumed? And I said, like 3 hours ago.
My response would have been, when was the last time you consumed your medication?
Yeah. No, I told them 3 hours. And then I spent some time explaining to them how the program works and that patients are growing their own and all that.
Yep.
And that's what I always do to cops, is turn it into an education forum for them.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
It's a captive audience.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Kelly did as well.
You're going to learn.
That's what Kelly did. Kelly got pulled over by a ride in Guelph, and she was honest. They grabbed what she had. She took it. The cop took it back to the car and said she was going to weigh it. Bullshit. And then came back and said, "Okay, well, you've got exactly, you're under what you're allowed to carry. If you had any more, I would have charged you. Here you go. Please be more careful. We don't keep it in the car or whatever, And I'm like, that's just 100.
Cops have scales.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So if I'm on the side of the road and somebody wants to buy some, I could just flag down a cop and borrow his scales.
Well, if they're another patient, it's legal.
They've got that phone app. A scale phone app.
Took me 3 months to calibrate that.
No. It's the Newfie cop scale. They put the weed in one hand and the loony in the other.
Yeah.
It's kind of stupid in a lot of ways what we're coming up against, because how much confusion. This guy's recreational, that guy's medical, so leave him alone and go after that guy, officer. Fuck off.
Well, even the recreational person will only be able to carry 30 grams.
But they're not allowed to smoke in public, Al.
No, I know, but yet there's no restriction on the amount of alcohol you can buy. You can go buy 10 cases of beer.
They're not allowed to drink in public, though.
Well, I don't know. You're sitting on a patio.
Sure you are. Sure you are at licensed events.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Exactly. Sporting events.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So,
but the way that it's looking is we're never going to have those. I'm concerned about the lounges. I think that if they take out public consumption spaces, this is going to be a nightmare. Because we're going to have people in back alleys again.
Yeah. Now, there is, in the release that came out yesterday, they said that and there is one part in there that says they are going to look into places to allow people to have public consumption, like at, for example, a lounge. But they also mentioned the existing lounges are doing it illegally right now.
Exactly, right? So it's okay, so how does this work?
Yeah. So they would look at...
And will it be vape only?
It may only be vape, yeah. But they would be licensed regularly like an alcohol bar, but they'd be serving cannabis. But yeah, like you say, it would probably be vape only. And, of course, they'd probably have to have ventilation and everything.
And so that brings me back is that, there are certain cannabinoids that aren't released in my Volcano vaporizer. And so, if I want full effects, I smoke a joint.
Right.
And so, again, that's going to cause some challenges. There are just... The fact of the matter is that this whole thing, nobody benefits from it. The LPs don't benefit from it. Nobody benefits from this except actually the liberals themselves.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Right? And I want to look at the rest of the world the rest of Ontario that's already frustrated with hydro and everything else going, look, I know you guys are sick and tired of hearing me bitch about this, but look what they did to hydro. And everybody's just going, okay, yeah, you guys take care of pot, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, meanwhile, we're sitting in here in Nova Scotia saying, if they try and pull that shit here, there'll be a revolt.
Oh, well, did you see that poll? Those poll results that says that...
Do you know what that poll result was, though? They phoned people.
Yeah.
So as soon as they phone people, they're not going to get an honest response because a lot of those people are going to think, oh, they're just fishing for who's going to be using pot. They'll have my name.
Yeah.
And I hear lots of people slam on the LPs and everything else, but think about it. 20-some of the licensed producers are in Ontario. Depending on how all of this provincial stuff works out, will depend on where they're allowed to actually sell their product. Ontario has the highest hydro rates.
Yeah, it's to me, it's ludicrous why anybody would go to Ontario to set up as an LP.
Yeah, but we got so many LPs.
It's not just a matter of so many; it's the cost to just
I know, but
be in Ontario doing that.
There's a lot of LPs located here in Ontario.
That's what I mean. That's what I don't understand.
I mean,
why would they do that?
What's going on now? Yeah, I mean, it's the potential of limiting the sales for so many of these companies, depending on how.
Here's the problem with the LPs, and the biggest problem is they're trying to do this and run this as corporations, when what they should be doing is trying to mimic what the dealers have been doing for years, because the dealers already know how to do it.
Which is
to grow and supply.
Yeah.
So we've got these guys saying, "Oh, well, I'll set up as a licensed producer and I'll go to Ontario because they've got the highest taxes in Canada and the highest cost for hydro, and I'm going to grow all indoor." Why would I do that when I could go someplace else, put a glass roof on the building out in the prairies or even on the East Coast here?
And some people did.
Yeah, and run it at a quarter of the cost.
And some people did. I mean, it's just.
But why so many in Ontario? That's what I don't understand.
Crazy. Location. I guess this is where the investment money was, and probably where people wanted to be closer to their own businesses. Is what I'm going to guess.
Okay, I'll just throw this out there. If you'd like to invest, contact me and I'll tell you how to invest so that you'll get a better fucking return than what these guys are going to have.
But here's what I'm going to say is that we're as a community, we've lumped a lot of the LPs together.
Got a guy on a unicycle.
And there is a variety of them, right? There is, just like there's a variety of variety stores. You've got the chain stores, and there are a couple of mom and pops that have popped up now.
Yeah.
In the LP system that I think are going to, end up that are craft cannabis that have shown up in there. They're not. I'm worried about how they're going to compete. Because it's the craft cannabis people that are going to actually have the hardest time, because they're going to have to compete not only against the existing market as it is, but the large corporate entity of the LPs, because some of them are public, some of them aren't.
Right.
So some of them have unlimited funds coming in because they're making money off the stocks, not the weed, and others are just trying to grow marijuana.
Right. But the ones that are growing it, that know how to grow it, probably going to survive a lot better than the LPs in the end, because it's still going to have a better product, and they can offer lower pricing.
Fuck, I hope so.
I mean, you compare what's available from the craft market now, which to be honest, it is made up of a lot of patience.
Yep.
So if they're growing cannabis to use as their medicine, it's top quality cannabis to begin with, because they're not going to screw their own health over for profit when it's their health that they're growing for to begin with. So we've already got craft cannabis is already by far better than what's available from the LPs, because the LPs are growing for profit.
Yeah.
And some of them are still going to be facing that class action suit for fucking poisoning all of their customers.
Well, and I think, what I think the issue is that I think why the LPs are struggling is because they haven't realized what their focus should be when they're building their company. And
they're not thinking like drug dealers, they're thinking like corporations.
Their focus is their grower.
Yep.
Always. Because the fact of the matter is that if you find someone that is talented and loves to grow, you're making their dreams come true.
That's right.
Right? Let them, if what they've done in a black market in a basement, let them go and stop fighting them, and we'll have an incredible cannabis market.
Oh yeah, we would. We'd have top quality
hiring
stuff.
Stop hiring people that grow alfalfa, and grow and hire growers
or trees, is the case here.
Yeah.
Just because you can grow trees for a corporation doesn't mean you know how to grow cannabis.
Prairie Plant Systems, before they started growing cannabis, had grown alfalfa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how good their product was when they started.
He admitted he got the $15 million from the government, and at that point he had never even seen a cannabis plant.
No. And turned around and said, "Oh, it'll grow great underground in our mine."
And apparently, nobody learned from that mistake.
No, mineshaft weed. Yay.
Yay. And on that note, shall we take a break?
Sounds good.
I wasn't asking you, Al.
Your opinion doesn't count on this show.
What would he have done if we said no?
I would have said, why'd you ask the question?
So I figured...
No, we're not taking a break. We're going to talk forever.
Well, we could.
We could.
We don't have anybody that says, okay, there's another show in 15 minutes. You have to get the fuck away.
Yeah, yours good right through to
Friday's mine. I can go as long as I want.
Except some of us do have work to do too. So.
That'd be fine. We do like the 420 radio marathon show.
We did.
We've done it.
You have to come. You guys, I'm inviting everybody, Al. You got to come check out 420 on the 420 radio show.
Yeah, that's a 24-hour experience.
Every time zone.
Yeah, it's posted at the website.
Yeah, we
okay.
And we do it every year.
A blast, dab, bong hit, whatever, every 420. So
yeah,
nice.
So we did
Newfoundland.
Yep, Atlantic.
We had people in several different provinces throughout, all the way over to
BC.
Yeah, because we had Tamara.
We even had somebody in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So we'll do it again this year because it's hard on the lungs, but damn, it's fun.
Alicia sat in a park doing yoga in Saskatoon.
Nice.
And then Tamara came on from BC.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
We'll do it again.
I needed a pillow, but it was fun. Yeah. I'd actually like to do like a Jerry Lewis type telethon and maybe raise some money for kids or something. I don't know, but we'll
that'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll see.
So I thank you guys for sending me the shitty weather. So we go from highs to friggin' rain.
You were just telling us it was so nice out there.
It was.
Yeah,
I'm still wearing shorts.
I mean, Cindy was on Tamara's show yesterday on Wednesday, and she was going on and on how it was 18 degrees. He's like, "Yeah, okay, it's snowing here."
I picked up my wool, like my court coat, from the dry cleaners today, and dropped off my hemp hoodlum so they could clean that before winter comes.
Have you got snow yet?
So I'll be prepared.
Have you got snow down in the city yet? No,
but it's going to hit 0.
Well,
those hemp hoodlum jackets are excellent.
I went through Star Trek-ness on what day was it? Just let me think here. Tuesday night, I guess. About 2:00 in the morning. It was like Star Trek driving through Hamilton, like coming through Guelph, coming up home.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
It was crazy.
Y'all can keep that crap.
Yeah. We haven't got it here yet, so
yeah, you guys feel free.
We're still cutting our lawns around here.
I realized the hemp hoodlum coat that I have is like 11 years old.
It happens, Mary Jane.
They're
And
excellent jackets.
You know,
and I'm literally just having the pocket fixed now for the first time.
we were going to go on break and we kept talking. You see what happened? You see? So let's listen to some Peter Tosh Bush Doctor. We'll keep talking. You'll probably hear us come back.
Man, have you been to Canada's yet? Canada's, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers. Everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. Canada's. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? Canada's can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education? Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. Canada's. Have your say without saying a word. Canada's.ca.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Warning. The Surgeon General warns. Cigarette smoking is dangerous. Dangerous. Hazard to your health. Does that mean anything to you? Them legalize marijuana. Right here in Jamaica, yeah. Them say it cure glaucoma, yeah. I'm another bush doctor, yeah. So there'll be no more smoking and feeling tense. When I see them come, I don't have to jump. Legalize marijuana. Down here in Jamaica, yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. My
Emily
mom
goes
was
out.
so smart. We should actually talk about this on the show, but
Sure.
He's dying. He's going to die on us.
I just want to. I got to shout out to Val and Matt at Shatterizer because welcome back.
Yeah.
Hey,
they do have a nice product, I will admit.
I was just going to ask you a little bit of an argument going on your wall there. I think somebody's got a hard on for you there, buddy.
Yeah, that's just one of my many fans.
What do you?
You gotta love a good troll, though. I mean,
oh man,
to the point where they'll go to the extreme to make themselves look stupid. Right?
Yeah.
When even their argument is proven to be nothing but bullshit, they continue on with the same argument.
Yeah. Well, so they need life. That's what they need.
Yeah. It's sad, but they're fun. I like laughing at them.
How are you feeling about your Shatterizer, Mary Jane, who isn't really talking because she's shy?
No, because she's been using the Shatterizer for Christ's sake. She's wrecked.
Yeah, I haven't spent much time away from it.
Yeah, me either.
In the pocket, pretty much anywhere I go.
It is
okay. So apparently, I do need to try this thing.
Do you know what it is? But go with the rosin since you don't like solvents.
Yep.
All right. So use a solventless extract, but take a rosin, put one in, and do a dab. The coolest thing about it is you can set the temperatures on this.
Yes.
I mean, there's other dab pens out there that you can use, like the Yokan, which everybody says this is a knockoff of, but it really isn't, because the Yokan only has one temperature. This, you can have 3 different temperatures, and the lower the temperature, the smoother and more flavor the hit.
Yeah, I had it on high there.
So I've spent basically the week testing it on different resins and hashes and temperatures and finding which temperatures work best for which. And
testing it.
Which tastes the best. And I'm trying to see if I can burn it out and how fast I can burn it out too, so before I burn myself out testing.
Yeah. Excuse me. I'll shut my mic off.
You got me curious now because I always have patients asking me, and I'm like,
Shatterizer.ca.
I don't really use, a lot of extracts, but
it's what it is. It's a nice device for new users as well as frequent users or heavy hitters.
I call it a portable dab rig. That's what I call it.
It is. It's got a quartz atomizer.
Whoever makes it, if they want to send me one, I will try it. I've got some rosin here that's just sitting here because my dab unit that I have, I unfortunately broke. Master Rolla had made me a little, because I like to be a good hostess. I don't dab, but I like to have a dab rig in the house just in case somebody does.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm sure if you message Val or Matt, they'd be happy to send you a demo.
Awesome.
They might even be listening. You might even get a message without even saying anything.
Well, we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah.
And if not, I will message them and see, or see if I can find them locally too.
I like in Toronto. I don't know who has them in Toronto.
The people on the outside of the business that are making good products too.
Well, it's shatterizer.ca or .com if you're in the States. And they're $69 Canadian. And if you break the globe, it's like aircraft glass or something. You can listen to the show Val and Matt were on last week. But it's like NASA uses this glass, right? And you could ask somebody who's dropped it. Hello, Mary Jane. Hello, Mary Jane.
See,
you dropped it.
I broke my dab unit, so this is like up my alley here, right? Because I am the clumsy girl.
Mary Jane
I just broke my dab pen glass top. I broke it right in my hand.
Again? Oh,
again.
Oh, dude. Well, you need to get one as well.
You should get a Shatterizer.
That's right. Mary Jane, how high was it when you dropped it? Or how high were you when you dropped it?
I was going to say how high was I or how high was it? They, I don't know, like handheld. I'm pretty short, so I mean, like, if it was regular glass, it would have broke. And Tracy, I'm like you. I'm horrible with glass, and I'm clumsy. So this is amazing because I don't have to worry about shattered glass in my house.
Yeah, I'm the girl that can't have nice things.
It's only about 8 inches. No, it's only about 6 inches long. It's not that long.
Are those men's inches or women's?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm like, wow, that's a really big pen there.
That's why I adjusted. I didn't want to overextend it. Anyways, get two women on the show and the whole fucking place falls apart.
You know why women can't parallel park, right?
Why is that?
Because we get keep saying that that's 6 inches.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. That was my sexist joke of the program.
That's okay. You're entitled to 3 every program.
Thank you. So wait, you asked me a question earlier about oil.
Yeah, no. I had asked... Yeah, when we were off air, I had asked you if you'd ever done a regimen of daily dosing of concentrate.
Absolutely. And I've gotten it from different suppliers throughout the years. I actually used to make it myself. And I've recently gotten it from a supplier out in the West Coast while I was ill. For those that don't, I'm sure there's that don't know me on social media or whatever, type 1 diabetes, I ran into a little bit of a problem this summer. I ended up one day waking up in the beginning of July, really not feeling well. Strangely enough, my blood sugars were completely under control. And I just wasn't feeling well, so I kind of took it down for the day. And the next day I woke up and there was a very large red spot on one of my feet. And because I'd been through this before, I'm a diabetic, and I realized that there was an infection in my foot. And because I have been a diabetic for so long, my complication is I have neuropathy. So I have a loss of sensation in my feet, which also causes some nerve pain. And it's a kind of a complicated thing. But I don't feel a lot in my feet, so I didn't feel the infection starting. And it has led to a lot of weeks of IV antibiotics, home care, and back and forth with different... I actually ended up developing a C. diff infection as well because of the overload of antibiotics. Had to be taken off those and then put back on antibiotics for my foot. So
somebody's mic is acting up.
Drug regimen now.
Sorry, somebody's mic is acting up.
I don't know who
it's
that
either,
is.
Al or Mary Jane.
It stopped.
It stopped.
The culprit stopped it.
Thank God. Okay, go on,
not going
Tracy.
to tell us who it was.
Please continue. No, I hear it again.
Oh, there it is again.
Yep, there it is again.
Okay, it's annoying whoever it is.
Someone's moving.
It's Al.
So it's been kind of a struggle because my body's had a hard time fighting off the infection. Just because I have a resistance to antibiotics. So it's been a little bit of a struggle, but the funny thing is that the whole entire time, because I do take a regular dosage of extracts every day, every medical professional that I've encountered the whole entire time, including the specialty nurses that deal with wound care and see diabetics all the time, all look at me and go, if I fell over you, I would never guess you were a diabetic if I saw you on the street, because my sugars are in control.
You look great. Last time I saw you, you looked fantastic. You were standing there, and you wouldn't have even known that you were having issues.
Yeah. I'm physically, I am healthier than most. I just, this kind of time around, the universe is just, how I'm going to say this, I don't know, the universe is fucking with me. So my whole entire life, I was kind of told, be careful of moisturizer between my toes, because moisture between toes can cause infection and breed fungus. Well, what got me is I developed cellulitis from dry skin between my toes. So the skin cracked, the infection got in, the infection took hold, and I didn't feel it until it was kind of out of control. And then it's been a fight to get it back in control, but I am almost, I'm actually out of the woods. Things are better.
Have you broken up with Ivan yet?
Oh, Ivan is long gone.
Oh, that's good.
Ivan is long gone. He is the worst guy I've ever dated. Makes me feel horrible about myself. Doesn't go with anything I wear. Keeps me up at night. Yeah, he's a little prick. It's a whole thing.
How many days did you have laying there recuperating, coming up with those stupid puns?
Days. Now, here's the thing that I part of the frustration of this was I've actually been through this before. So in 2014, I call it the Great Polio Epidemic of 2014. I got a blister on my foot, and it wasn't healing properly, and I had seen my doctor. I'd gotten some antibiotics, but because it was winter, it had kind of split back open, and I put some polysporin and a Band-Aid on it, and away I went. Well, that was my first experience with the complication of my diabetes. I'd kind of, I had a pretty long honeymoon period for a while. And now so the dry skin between the toes, this last bout has now told me that it's not an isolated incident, so I have to be even more careful than I've been. Means that there's going to be new doctors in my life as well. And, the fun of being a diabetic is just going to continue. That's
the fun.
It ain't stopping me. I lost a toe in 2014. I mean, how many 9-toed gingers do you guys know?
Yeah,
I'm
you're
pretty
right.
original now, right? I'm pretty original. So but this time around, I wasn't fucking around because eight-toed ginger isn't nearly as cool. And it's been kind of a critical time. It's been hard for me to kind of step back. Part of it is the drugs that I was on made my brain mush, so I wasn't doing a whole lot. And the things that I was doing were kind of not to the best of my ability because I was down and out for a little bit. But, I've given a big chunk of my life to activism and legalization. But I've come to the realization I ain't willing to give it a leg.
Yeah.
So I took a break, but I'm back.
We all have to take breaks once in a while.
You'd be, what do you call it, cost you an arm and a leg?
Yeah.
So you would actually be paying him the leg instead of just using it as a funny phrase.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I'm not willing to do that.
No.
But I really want to see what legalization brings in research about the cannabinoids that are actually affecting diabetes, like CBD and oh my God, I even have to look it up, just pronounce it properly because I am not that great at all the cannabinoids.
There's so many of them, though.
But they are, the ones that they're actually finding that have therapeutic values for diabetes in the early stages. And these are just the cannabinoids that we've identified. One of the jokes that I've made since 2014 is that, if they find out that, something in marijuana cures diabetes, somebody owes me a fucking apology and a baby toe.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys missed that whole thing. Matt Murnaugh, wanted me to keep it because he wanted to wear it as a chain around his neck.
Oh,
that would have been cool, though. You could have auctioned it off.
I know. I told him. I told him the only way he could have it is if he wore it through his nose.
You could wear it. You could wear it at Halloween, part of your costume.
It would be cool.
Yeah. But those of you guys that know Patrick from Redbeard Glass, he and at his glass gathering one year, he and Opus 420 collaborated, and I now have a glass pinky.
Oh, excellent.
So, I do have it. So, and I mean, that's what I'm going to have to tell you about your niece and her dealing with the diabetes is she's going to have a sense of humor about it. It's the only way you survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about the stupid things nurses say. So when I finally had the baby toe amputated, and it was a very strange experience in of itself. I'm pretty sure it involved cigar cutters. But I went in.
As a matter of fact,
I went in a couple of days later, and for them to dress the wound, and the nurse came in to dress the wound, and she's I'll try to do the conversation for you here, and she's like, "Oh, did you lose a toe?" And I went, because it's right there, and I'm like, "Yeah, they did it here 2 days ago." She's, "Oh yeah, I was here for that. Didn't he put it in a jar?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm pretty sure he didn't put it in his pocket." So I'm assuming that, he probably put it in a jar and put it down for testing.
Yeah.
and so,
slipped in his
go
back
get some
pocket.
stuff. And she goes away, and then she comes back. And like lots of people who want to commiserate with diabetics, like I say, I hear a lot of people talk about people that they know with diabetes, and very often what they do is like, "Oh, I know somebody with diabetes," and then tell me the worst possible story.
yeah.
They tell me about, they had somebody who had an amputation or went blind or died or and I've been hearing these stories since I was 6. But, because people, when they hear you're ill, they want to have something.
sympathize.
They want to have something in common. It's the same if you have cancer or anything like that. They talk about, "Oh, I know somebody."
Yeah.
And in this case, the nurse wanted to commiserate with me, and she decided to tell me about that time one summer when she lost a toenail and she couldn't wear sandals all summer.
Oh my God, that poor thing.
And I didn't punch her.
She's lucky.
Right, like everybody talks about redheads and everything else. I didn't punch that nurse. I took it. And now she is part of the funny stories I can tell about when I lost the toe. The great polio epidemic of 2014.
I got a funny story that's like that. Every time I walk into a room and say I'm Jewish, somebody says, "Hey, do you know Bob Schlimmel?" All right.
Hey, I'm from Prince Edward Island. When they say, "Hey,
do you know this?" Yes, exactly.
Do you know so and so? They're usually a cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I started doing when people hear that I'm from Nova Scotia? They say, "Well, do you know such and such?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, he died."
Oh.
And then just leave it as that.
When I moved into Mount Forest, I have a different last name. So when I moved into Mount Forest, I go to get a video membership at the corner store, and they're like, "Hey, are you relation to Ron?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so. As far as I know, I'm the last one." He says, "Oh." I go to return the movie back 3 days later. Who's standing there? "Hey, this is Al. That's Ron Rapp over there. Go say hello. He could be your cousin."
Oh, you don't understand. I meet people from Prince Edward Island. I did the Canamed Fair in Vancouver in 2011, and there was a company from Nanaimo called Rostatrol hemp supplies store, and I meet the guy there, and we're talking, and he's like, "Oh, my dad's from Prince Edward Island." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's the name?" Turns out we were cousins.
Yeah, but isn't everybody PEI related?
Well, that's exactly it, right? Like, I mean, basically, from Prince Edward Island, I'm like, okay, so my fun game is like, okay, so how are we related?
Yeah.
Because if you're not related to me, you're related to my best friend.
Yeah.
You know, that's about it. We're a province of 130,000 people.
Yeah, I love it there. I spent my summers there when I was a teenager doing fishing and painting houses.
Yeah.
And camping.
I still dream of going back.
Camping and going to that damn drive-in.
You got to go visit when you were down here, or didn't you?
I did for about 4 hours.
Well, it's a visit.
It was a quick visit. But I gotta say, I'm impressed by one of the young activists that's doing some work out in the island right now. A young lady by the name of Annie McEachran.
Oh yeah.
She's been called because part of the province's plan wasn't to do public consultations about, the distribution and legalization. So she started doing them herself.
Yeah.
Huh. I think absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. I think showing that initiative is just amazing, and she's getting the public involved, which is really, really great. Because that's something the island hasn't really seen.
Still don't know why the island opted not to do public consultations.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It makes
They've
no
already
sense,
made up their mind. So they're just avoiding that spot and not doing it. Or instead of doing it, still doing what they wanted to do anyways.
Yeah.
Well, part of my question, too, is how do you do those? Where do you find the budget to do public consultations and to do all of this stuff? If if you've already had your, it's November. Where do you find it in the budgets to make all of these things happen in this timeline?
You take it from your snow removal budget for November because you got no goddamn snow to remove.
Yeah, I just can't imagine what the ripple effect of this might be, because I'm just okay, well, because the municipality is saying we don't have it in our budget. And I don't understand, I can't imagine the provinces do either. Although, yes, I can, considering what hydro charges us in Ontario. They can do anything they want.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, they announced some of the cities where they're going to have their first stores. They announced that in the paper.
I know.
Yeah. So,
and so I've almost wanted to put a post up and just start listing some great towns, that aren't listed, and go, that's where you put your dispensaries, folks.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm like an hour and a half.
Richmond Hill, Stouffville, Uxbridge, Pickering, Scarborough, they weren't even listed at all.
No. Mary Jane, you have to go to Kingston.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at that list. I was just saying it's either for me, it's Kingston, Ottawa, or Toronto. And to be honest, they're all at least 2-hour drive. And, who wants to drive 2 hours?
Well, then you can just go across the street to the dispensary. They'll be opening up.
They're saying mail order.
That's true. Being medical, I don't have to worry about that. But for people in my town, you have to pass 14 different dispensaries on the reserve on your way to Kingston. So I guarantee you've just lost half that market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't it's the same thing with their, the RCMP budget that they promised. It was $240 million over 5 years. That's not even going to put a dent in things, really, because the Toronto Police Service's budget is $1 billion a year, and they can't they still haven't closed. There's still lots of dispensaries here.
Yeah. Like they're trying to put the same amount of dispensaries in the whole province that isn't even half the amount in one city.
There's 5 on my block.
Yeah. See, to me, as more as a business person, to me that is too much. I would rather see what Vancouver's doing by putting regulations in place that there can only be dispensaries within so many 100 meters of each other type thing.
I agree, but at the same time, I agree. I absolutely.
It's a zoning issue. To me, it's understanding
I've always
zoning.
said it's a zoning issue because I went to the City of Toronto bylaw, a year and a half ago, saying like, look, you guys are talking about these issues with dispensaries. You have it within your purview to regulate them now. It's in your purview to regulate ventilation and smell and signage and locate. Like, they could have done that quite easily. Because, I mean, the rules for dispensaries back in the day, like, and certainly we didn't all, they didn't all get along. They weren't all chummy. There wasn't this great big collective of dispensaries running in Toronto like this Cumbia hippie commune or anything. But they did agree on one thing. The dispensaries you trusted were the ones that followed the rules. And everybody else was shit, right? And that was it, because you followed the rules. And the rules were, you didn't make an impact on your neighborhood. There was no consumption within a 2-block radius. There were no friends within a 2-block radius.
Yeah. Lay low.
As harsh as this sounds to people, I have cut up sick people's membership cards because they put the dispensary at risk, because they brought a friend to the door. Or they brought, because what even Vancouver didn't understand, I remember being in Vancouver when the rush to Toronto started. And one of the dispensary people in Vancouver said that, basically called us in Toronto pussies because, we hid. And I went, and I got angry because I was like, look, I worked with the people. I wasn't there at the time, but I worked with the people who had been through that robbery and that raid. And they had been beaten, and they had PTSD, and they were patients, and so there were communicable diseases, and a lot of blood, and a lot of people had to be tested to make sure that they were healthy. And there were a lot of emotions involved, and then there were court charges. And then they had to fight for, the access to the dispensary. It was what gave us the Hitzig decision.
Yeah.
And that's where those rules came from in Ontario, because, Vancouver is like California and Toronto is Gotham. And while I am heartbroken of some of the access that has been lost along the way here in Toronto, I have to give it up to the people that are still fighting it, because it's been tough, and it's going to get tougher.
Yeah, it's a never-ending fight, especially for the patients.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of the patients that are doing the fighting.
Yeah, and what patients find out very quickly is healthy people don't help sick people.
Actually, you know what? I have to disagree with that.
You get a lot of help from non-patient activists.
Depending on what it is, you ask experts. You go, like, I go to a lot of people outside of this industry for advice, for a sounding board, because, hey, I want to talk to the public. I want to talk to politicians. I want to make sure that, they understand what I'm saying and what my purview is. So I actually do get a lot of help. I've worked on a lot of projects where it's like, okay, even back in the day when I was doing, calendars and trying to do fundraisers or stuff like that, I'd go to the lighting guys and go, and this is what I want to do. I have almost no money. What can I do? And I would get donations from outside if they knew what we were fighting for, right? Like
I don't mean the donations. I mean,
okay.
Protests and things like that.
Protests,
if we want to have a protest here to fight for patients' rights, you can be guaranteed that you won't get non-patients protesting.
Yeah. I remember being heartbroken about this years ago because and the realization that, I could throw, we could do the global marijuana march, and as long as there was food vendors and parties and weed and everything else, then everybody would show up for that.
Yeah. The big festival atmosphere.
Everybody shows up for the free, because everybody likes free shit.
Yeah.
Everybody will show up for that. And it's true. It's heartbreaking. I'm glad there are people like us in the world who carry the weight of many, because that's exactly what we do when we have to. Because I was watching a movie. It's called The Book of Henry, and there was a moment in the movie, and I've never seen it, and I haven't read the book. And one of the kids says, violence is the worst thing. Isn't the worst thing. Apathy is.
Yeah, I have to agree.
And that's our issue, is that, we look at it. I mean, I want to get upset about it, but I mean, Jesus Christ, Trump is president of the United States.
Oh God, don't remember.
Right? Like the atrocities that happen in the world. I mean, the prohibition of marijuana and what is happening is kind of, in the words of one of my mentors, is analogous of so many other things. And people don't realize it, but it's becoming so apparent. I don't understand why our government is shocked by the fact that we're being told that this is, a $1 billion industry.
Well,
and they're telling people that have just survived horrible recessions and lost their homes and being told that they have no pensions and they have no future and they have no full-time employment, that they're not allowed to have a piece of it.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? This was supposed to be the whole idea of freedom and the Canadian, North American, U.S. dream, right?
Yeah. No, this is when corporations run your government. Because basically it's the money that dictates the rules, and the people with the money make the rules.
Yeah.
We don't make the rules.
Thanks for some advice, but these are the rules.
Yeah. Yes. The whole thing of legalization is a joke to begin with, because it's designed to fail.
But we're fighting against a whole society that believes that you just follow the law.
Because
right?
that's what society's had drilled into them from day one.
During the hearings of people like Jody Emery and Dana Larson and Mark Emery just saying, being told, well, you break the law. And it's like, well, yes, ma'am. So did Rosa Parks. So did Henry Morgentaler. So there's a long history of civil disobedience and people being on the right side of history.
Yeah.
This is, the idea that we're criminals one day and entrepreneurs the next, is what it should be. But what it is we're just criminals, and there are all these new entrepreneurs who have, studied some stuff online. And have never seen a live plant.
Yeah. Well, that's what we saw here with the prairie plant systems.
Or have connections to money or government. Or both. It helps.
You can look at the ownerships. You can look at the ownerships of the producers.
Look at the
You have
LPs.
to have money. You absolutely
Well, not ownerships, but the board. The board.
Oh, you don't need to have money. You can always have somebody else's money, but you've got to at least have that connection with that person with the money.
Yep, absolutely, right? Absolutely.
I'd like some of that money,
and it requires a lot of trust and a lot of faith, because the fact of the matter is that
I would do it in a heartbeat, except I just don't trust anybody, and I don't want their money.
Well, and the thing is, it's trust, because we don't pass the security checks that they require for LPs. We don't.
I do.
No, you won't.
Why not?
Because they're really picky. Like, they do everything about who can be in the room with the plants, who can be the whole 9 yards. Most of the people that applied to be licensed producers were rejected for security right off the bat. They do thesis level security checks on you and all your families and your connections and what you've done and who you're with. And
and see, I'm ex-military, so I've been through those very extensive checks.
Okay.
So I know what they entail, but I also know that I've never been caught or convicted, and none of my immediate family members have either.
Okay.
Therefore, I am not a security risk. So that's why it's not an issue for me. But that's the level that it goes. It goes to your extended family as well.
Somebody's been busted with 3 joints, though. That's a different scenario.
Right, but if you have an uncle that's just been convicted and now going to jail for trafficking large amounts or something like that, then you're going to fail that check.
So there's deterrence for us to be in the industry completely.
What they've done is they've come up with basically
because
how they did the MMAR was designed to fail. The only problem is we kept taking them back to court and winning and making a program that worked. So they trashed the MMAR and come out with a new program that was failed before it even launched with an injunction. So then they had to turn around after they promised all these business people billions of dollars of market of a fixed patient that they would be guaranteed every patient. They were lied to. Then they had to come out with a new program again. Every program they've come out with it and try to make it fail. The legalization is no different. They're going to come out, they're going to have this, they're going to have massive amounts of black market stuff going on, especially in Ontario. And they're going to come back out eventually and say, oh, this failed. The problem is a lot of people are going to be screwed before it comes to that.
Yep, absolutely. Here's the thing: is that it's like the last years of prohibition, and it's been like that over the last few years. It's been working in this industry has been hard. The last few years has been hard. It's frustrating. It's to watch all of this kind of. Some of the things you wanted to see are happening, but in weird and twisted ways. You're happy about some things and then go, it's been a roller coaster of the last couple of years, and just like the last few years of alcohol prohibition, they were the bloodiest.
Yeah.
And I'm worried. I'm worried. And I'm a worrier by nature. We've already had a death here in a dispensary robbery in Toronto. And I'm terrified of what amount of force may or may not be used as things progress. They use battering rams and stuff in the dispensaries here, and I worry about these young kids. Like I said, my maternal instinct goes to young activists. I worry about them all. And I keep telling them, like, get your MPs involved. Like, this is the government that's supposed to be taking care of legalization. Go to their offices, write them letters, talk to them, because we can bitch on the internet all we want, but unless we're actually getting them the information, they're just going to roll with it.
Well, the politicians go with the information that they're given.
Yeah,
I had a politician tell me that the police stopped arresting people for cannabis in Canada. Seriously?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's a lie. He said, no, it isn't. He said, all of the arrests are down. I said, there's just 2 patients arrested this week alone.
Yeah.
Tell me how this is working.
No, that's what I was told.
A patient who had been fighting for 3.5 years. And, he was facing some pretty serious jail time in Alberta. And he was a patient, and I was terrified that he was going to go to jail because his diet is what's keeping him alive.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for the fact that they proved that the cop was lying, he might have faced some serious stuff. But luckily, his charges were dropped, and but he lost 3.5 years of his life. His brother lost his house. They lost a vehicle. Like, people don't understand that, it's, great, you won your case, but you lose your life in many cases.
How much did it cost you to win your case?
Yeah, like, they don't understand that, justice prevails for the wealthy.
Yeah.
Or the people that show the initiative. What I will say about one of the MMAR challenges was RV Murnaugh. That was Matt Murnaugh and Paul Lewin. But I will say, Matt worked so much of his own case. Yeah. And he reached out to people and got them to help too. And some people did and some people didn't. But I talked to legal experts in drug policy after that case, and they were so impressed by the amount of affidavits and evidence that we'd managed to collect as a community, and that Matt had managed to collect and they'd managed to process in that case. And I think the court challenges, I think we need to support the ones that are going to come down.
That's actually a really good segue into what's been happening on the East Coast. Chris Enns, who's been in the news a lot, had his dispensaries raided on more than one occasion, and has been fighting this since 2013.
Yep.
In court. The Crown came and offered him an absolute discharge if he pled guilty to a possession for the purpose charge in 2013. And they would withdraw and stay all of the 2014 and 2015 charges. And his feeling was simple because it didn't take him long to decide. And what he's now stating is that he's decided not to take the deal.
Yep.
Because it's a constitutional challenge.
Yep.
So they are going to court, and he basically says that the amount of the will say statements and the quality of the will say statements that patients sent in, he's definitely got grounds for a Section 7 argument.
Yep.
So his case alone could change a lot in Nova Scotia with whatever they come up with regulations.
And that's what I want to say to anybody that's listening, and patient advocates and patients everywhere, is that, you know, I see a lot of complaining on the groups and you know, people sharing stories, and I often have to direct people back and forth. If you're having an issue with your LP, if you're having an issue with access, if you're having an issue with any of parts of, you need to be looking at the court challenges and be willing to share your story and your medical records and all of those things. And that does take a little bit of work, but you could actually help change how things are shaped. It was actually surprising to me during the Murdoch case, during the MMAR, because we were having so many challenges with that, how difficult it was to actually get people to participate and help, because they were certainly willing to tell their stories, but, you know, to get the paperwork process, to get their affidavits notarized, or to give us access to their medical records. People kind of fell by the wayside there. So I need people to kind of make the effort and actually, you know, if you're going to participate and help. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Sure does.
Well, I got one.
So, like,
I have a question.
People in other provinces can reach out to Chris and help him fight why dispensaries are important.
Well, it's important. That's right. Chris has been fighting for us for a long time, as well as his own fight. So, I mean, he is one person that you can say is there fighting for all of us. Him and Jess.
Like, if his case could really just make a big decision on the dispensaries across the country, then the other dispensaries would be cool if they all got behind him.
Hey, look, my heart is always with the East Coast. You know, I'm a maritime girl, born and raised, and I've always been impressed with anybody who was operating out that way, because it was tougher. I got my training and my learning here in Toronto, where, you know, there was safety in numbers, and we were in a large city where we had the medical community backing us, because we had the HIV community backing us, and because we had bigger more horrible drugs and crimes to deal with in the city. The cops didn't really see us as a challenge back in the day. But anybody that was on the East Coast or in the prairies has always had my absolute respect, because they're the ones that have actually, they're digging in trenches.
The dispensaries here have organized.
That's amazing, and they should.
And so and actually they really should. But our province is, I think from the way their surveys were laid out, they're looking at the liquor store model like everybody else. I think the feedback, they may have changed their minds.
And and here's the thing is, I'm not going to lie. Like, if, 10, 15 years ago, this was the dream. The Cannabis Control Board of Ontario. It's what we wanted.
CCBO, frank discussion had even drawing of it.
Yep, from 2005, 2006?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Murnau's got articles. I mean, I told him I had to go through all the things. I mean, I know I've got it somewhere where I was like, hey, we should.
I still have that model that we got at that thing in Peterborough. I still have that whole kit. I can't remember what it was called.
I mean, this was obviously, this is what we wanted. It's just not being built the way we want it. So I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to, like we've done for everything, is we keep fighting and denting it until it looks like we want it to look.
That's right. Just because it's legalized doesn't mean that the fight is over. There's always going to be changes that people will be wanting, and being that this is new, there's a whole pile of changes that people want.
And I'm not going to lie, I hold a certain amount of pride in the fact that in a couple of years, anybody who is sick and nauseous will be able to get access.
Correct. You'll be able to get faster access through growing 4 plants yourself versus waiting in line with the ACMPR.
It doesn't matter where they live. It doesn't matter, it like that to me, I mean, I still get emotional about it, because the fact of the matter is that I remember when I first met Alan Young, he told me I was never going to see legalization in my lifetime. And I joke around with him now that, the difference was he met me. But the fact of the matter is that, everybody, and we all kind of must feel this, is that we've all been told that we're crazy idealists and it was never going to happen. And, that we were being silly, or we were, whatever. And fuck you, we were right. And regardless of what it looks like, and who's taking credit for it, we did it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't really care who takes credit for it. Just
it's the whole community.
There's still a lot of work to be done. And there's going to be a lot to get fixed.
A lot of people sacrificed and fought and just didn't give up. And we owe a lot to them, and some of them are still with us and still fighting, and we've lost a lot of them along the way. And that's why I'm picky with people. Like, I yell at people about not knowing their cannabis history, because we haven't been really great at keeping track of it.
Yeah.
And it's, if you look at the stories of alcohol prohibition, we have a lot of people that we need to credit and be thankful and grateful for. I still see Terry Parker in my neighborhood every once in a while. We owe a lot to him. And a lot of people don't even know who he is.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, they don't even know the name.
We're celebrating the Emorys, but we should be celebrating the Terry Parkers and the Clays and the even the David Malmo Levines and the people that have fought the court challenges and really sacrificed and fought hard to get some changes done.
That's exactly how I feel. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who are being thanked do not deserve it.
I am heartbroken, and you'll hear me yell a lot of the times that, Riel Kapler and Hillary Black, we owe a lot to those two ladies. And how dare anyone ever open a dispensary without knowing their names?
Yeah, they were right there, weren't they?
And they put together some amazing guidelines that our community ignored, that I think would have probably made our transition into legalization a lot easier had we adhered to them.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. There's my, my 2 cents.
Your
but,
2 cents.
If we had looked at our history and how it had been built and actually kind of followed those guidelines, I think the government would have a harder time arguing against it.
Well, I know when they were forming the MMPR, they did go around and to learn how to do things. They did talk to dispensaries, some of the ones across the country.
Yes, that was their public consultations where they wouldn't let public in. I remember that.
No. Before during the MMAR, they did public consultations with a number of the dispensaries there.
Dispensaries across the country.
Dispensaries and clubs. That's how we got invited.
Yep.
We were classified as a club, but we kind of railroaded them, so.
Yeah, and it's, but like I look at certain things, like when they announced that nurse practitioners were going to be able to sign for medical marijuana paperwork, Matt Myrna and I talked about it, and how awesome that was, because it was something that he had asked for, and Lewin had asked for, and the case had asked for 12 years ago. And something that, that we put on the table back then was finally kind of happening. So there have been some wins, there have been some losses, but like every inch of this fight, it's kind of, that's the way we play this game, right?
And it is a game.
And I think of it like we thrived under the Conservatives. The Liberals have no idea what they're in for.
Yeah.
They're going to find out. And
we've learned how to play the game back, and that's
right. And unfortunately, we're going to have to end there. But we could, and I'm sure we will have a continuance of this conversation. Tracy, please tell people where they can find you if they want to get a hold of you and stuff like that.
You can find me on Twitter at Tracy Curley 420. You can find me on Instagram at BudBabeTO. Or you can even find me on Facebook at I'm at Tracy Curley. So yeah, you can kind of find me on all the social media outlets.
Awesome. Hey, Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Was there something you wanted to tell us before we leave?
I don't remember.
Something about Sunday.
Sunday. Well, you guys have seen the movie. I can't even remember what it's called. With the anonymous. What's that? V for Vendetta.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yes. Well,
remember the 5th of November.
Never heard of it. Heard of it. Sorry.
No, it's a good movie. I know.
Are you serious? Yes. You've never heard of that movie?
No. Yeah, I
V for Vendetta. You have to watch.
Anyways,
that
one. You got to watch V for Vendetta. It's the Guy Fawkes movie.
Okay, go ahead.
Mary Jane's reminding everybody that Friday is the 5th of November. I'm taking it.
Sunday. No,
Sunday. Sunday.
I was trying to get out some news that I wasn't going to say on air.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say it. No. Now you're not allowed to say it. No.
Oh, what? Okay, I won't say it then.
Just watch.
Oh, wait, I know. Can I
slap
say it?
You people.
It just clicked. Can I say it then?
Sure. What is it?
You can say
You're
it again.
gonna be a sunshine girl.
I am. I'm going to be in the Toronto paper.
There you go. See, I'm like, wait, stoner brain, go back. The final fact, things I know. I pay attention.
You said something on your wall. That's the only reason I brought it up.
That's where I saw it was on our wall as well.
There you go.
I don't go creeping
public.
on people, so.
I don't. Well, I didn't see it on the wall. I saw it on my news feed.
I haven't seen the picture. But I tell you, I did see the one on Instagram, and you almost poked me in the eye.
Hey.
Well.
Quit zooming in.
She was wearing one of the safer shirts, is what she was wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, Mary Jane, as awesome as I'm all about the empowerment of women and the pinup-y thing, but I got to admit, it's the Toronto Sun that I hate.
I can't argue with you there. It was definitely an experience, but any dealings that I've had, whether it be through email or like just being there, it's definitely not professional. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm actually gonna put it out there. My issue with it was when I was in high school, one of the girls that I went to high school with was a sunshine girl when she was 14 years old.
14?
14.
Wow.
Yeah, 14. And it's gross.
Wow.
It's gross.
Not the conversation I thought we were going to have after that, but okay.
So I have...
Aren't we off air yet?
No, we're not.
Sorry, guys.
Say goodnight, folks.
Good night.
Yeah, let's say goodnight.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week.
We'll squeeze you later.
New Weinstein scandal here on 420 Radio.
And you wanted to be a model. I'm just kidding. All right, folks. We'll be next. We'll be back to insult some more people next week.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Tracy won't be a guest. It'll be okay.
Tracy.
She can call in.
You can call in. Yeah, you can call in, Tracy. Al, thanks for joining us. Tracy, thanks for joining us. Another shout out to Kootenai Craft. Thanks for I thought you guys were going to call in, but we'll talk. Yeah. Good night. I don't have any more words. My word. Yeah. What was that? Oh yeah, peace, love, and hippie shit. Yeah. How is Chris doing while we're still on the air?
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody. I've been so busy.
Hope he's feeling better. All right. Good night.
Night.
So what are you doing? Nothing. Why not?
Trying to get on the